Welcome to episode number 378 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by searching for Beyond Social Media Show. We're recording on May 22, 2022. And a lot of things to talk about this week, including Stranger Pizza, virtual product placements, crypto says eat it, Starry Bricks, Taco Bell masterpiece, live streamed mass murder, Instable Coin, Grubhub's costly lunch, ship go to hell, invisible generation, and stick around for some podcasting and audio marketing stats from Edison Research. But we kick it off with the best story of the week, and BL always has that honors. BL, what do you got?
Well, I really love this story, although I would never buy Domino's Pizza, but I think this is very clever marketing. So Domino has partnered with Stranger Things, which is back for a new season that I haven't watched yet, and it allows you to order pizza with your face. So you're virtually in Stranger Things, Hawkins National Laboratory, and then you can order a pizza from there with facial gestures. This is from an Ad Age story by John Springer. So a company called Work in Progress and Unit 9 created an app for Domino's that puts people within the mysterious research laboratory from Stranger Things. And then you can use gestures and facial movements to order the pizza. And there's a 30-second spot that stars Dustin and Lucas from the show, played by Gaten Matarazzo and Caleb McLaughlin, respectively. And it showcases the video showcases the mind ordering experiences. So in this case, it happens to involve paranormal powers, 1980s nostalgia, video game culture, and a virtual reality environment to accompany this wildly popular series on a platform where, for now at least, traditional advertising options don't exist. And it comes just as Domino's could use a supernatural boost because they've been having some issues. But what a good idea.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know that there's much of a connection between Stranger Things and pizza, but yeah, whatever. Yeah. I assume that the facial expressions have to do with what, reacting to the monsters. What?
I haven't tried it because I'm not going to order Domino's pizza. I don't eat that. That's
Yeah,
crap pizza. But
yeah. Yeah, well, here's another food one. This is I saw on Twitter from Twitter user Noah Verrier, who had posted. First of all, Noah has a Master of Fine Arts and has had his artwork exhibited around the world. He posted a Taco Bell inspired still life painting on Twitter. So it has this beautiful pink flower, pinkish flower, with a background and everything, and in front of the flower is taco open with a wrapper, and there's some dipping sauce, and there's some nachos, and there's a soft drink there, and it's oil. It's an oil painting, and it's actually pretty beautiful. So
unlike Taco Bell.
unlike Taco Bell, right? Yeah. But the thing went viral because it's so amazing. 46,000 retweets, 3,000 quote tweets, and 415,500 likes. So if he's trying to get attention for his artwork, well done.
That's great. That's really great. I've only eaten in Taco Bell once in my life, and it was very weird food.
Yeah.
So of course, by now you've heard about the complete meltdown of the of the crypto situation, and Coinbase is telling haters to eat their words. It's their first ad since their Superbowl ad, and they have a message for everybody. We've heard this before. This is from an Ad Age story by Aza Heiken. And there's a 30-second spot. We'll put it in the show notes. And it's for Coinbase's 10th anniversary. And it's entitled Long Live Crypto. And it highlights social media posts, this is very funny, made over the years that have announced the death of crypto. So it begins with a post from earlier this month, and then it descends all the way back to August 2012 when there was only Bitcoin. Frederic Chopin's famous funeral march for piano sonata number 2 plays in the background to further drive home the point. And of course, the market shed 2 trillion, down from 3.1 trillion, down from 3.1 trillion to 1.3 trillion since last fall. But Coinbase is basically telling critics to eat their words, and they say they've heard this kind of decrease since they were founded. And you know, volatility has been consistent in the young life of the crypto industry, and with each period of bearish market, known as crypto winter, detractors, non-enthusiasts, people like you, and many of the general public have rushed to the death knell. And guess what? It's not over. It ain't over.
Well, yeah, I guess you can put me in both a non-enthusiast and a detractor category. I won't have to eat any words because I've never said it's dead, but I'll have more on that subject in our worst section, so stay tuned for that.
Can hardly
But
wait.
getting on to the best. I am bullish on, I am not a skeptic of virtual product placements. And this is from a Gizmodo article by Kyle Barr, who reports on the 2022 Interactive Advertising Bureau's New Fronts convention, where Amazon showed off its virtual product placement beta program. NBC's Peacock also has an in-scene service that blends products or messaging into movies and shows during post-production. So these streaming services are promising. Their initiatives will help enable creators and advertisers to seamlessly insert native ads, even after a show has been released, a TV show or a movie has been released. So it opens the door for even more product placement in films and TV, but also it's promising to make advertisers' life or producers' lives easier, and advertisers' lives easier, because advertisers will be able to create a series of rotation of ads that are designed for spots within old content. So think of all the back catalog of everything. Think, Humphrey Bogart at the bar drinking something, and maybe now it's branded. Maybe now it's Maker's Make branded whiskey or something like that.
But I don't mind that at all. I
No.
mean, I think that's clever, and I don't care. Put whatever you want in there.
Yeah. So the Amazon Senior VP of Advertising Products and Tech, her name's Colleen Aubry, said that the beta program has already been implemented. It's you can see it in shows like Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Reacher, and Borscht Legacy for Amazon-produced shows. The company claims that brands that have tested it have seen a 7% increase in brand favorability, a 15% increase in purchase intent. And producers like this because it's saving their product placement efforts until post-production, so they don't have to worry about it till post-production. Gaming advertisers were the first to try this swappable product placements idea and that has moved on from consoles to mobile gaming and free-to-play games as well. It is a $23 billion industry, product placement.
Wow.
So, and as you mentioned, you don't mind it because it's not intrusive. And for advertisers, it's hard to ignore. You see it, but it's part of the story. It's part of the landscape of the entertainment you're watching. The other thing on this on the new front announcement is Amazon is they've got Thursday night football, NFL football, that they broadcast Thursday night games, and they're teasing Twitch integration, but they didn't say what that was. And so my dream for the integration is that it would allow Twitch broadcasters to stream the game and act kind of like Mystery Science Theater 3000, where they can just comment on the game. So if me and my buddies stream the game and watch it together, we can comment on the action as it's happening rather than listening to the inane play-by-play color commentators with their stuff, because we're much more entertaining.
I'm sure you are. So that was my good news. Do you have more?
I have one more. This is along the art art theme of my previous one. This is from My Modern Met. Margarita Cole is the writer, who reports on May 25 that Lego is releasing a Starry Night set.
Oh,
My one
wow.
of my favorite paintings from one of my favorite artists, Van Gogh. So it replicates the blue and white and blue and yellow painting with Lego bricks. It's part of their Lego Idea series, which is based on fan creations. This one in particular was designed by a 25-year-old Lego fan named Truman Cheng. He's a Hong Kong-based PhD student who discovered a way to replicate Van Gogh's brush strokes by stacking Lego bricks intermittently. So I didn't realize this, but it's not just you can throw an idea out there. Like I would have had that idea, right? To recreate a Starry Night with Lego bricks. But he actually the fans actually have to tell you how to do it. So there's a quote from the article. It says, "It was a good brain tease to come up with the tricks and techniques to capture the look of the original painting." This is from Chen. "The brushwork goes in many directions in the moon and the swirling clouds, so there was some creative use of bracket and clip elements involved." So he actually had to engineer the thing, right? Cheng's design received 10,000 votes from the Lego fan community, which of course brought it to the attention of Lego Group, and it is priced at the set will be priced at $169.99. It'll be available for purchase on Lego's website and the uh, Modern Met store
No,
on
that's
May
Museum of Modern Art store.
Museum of Modern Art. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
store on May 25. For Lego VPs and Museum of Modern Art members. So the reason for the Museum of Modern Art is they partnered with Lego partnered with Museum of Modern Art to do this because Museum of Modern Art hosts the Starry Night painting, the actual Starry Night painting. For the general public, though, for this unlucky soul, I'll have to wait till June 1st to buy it.
Oh, okay. Well, there was a wonderful Van Gogh exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum a couple of years ago. You would have loved it.
Yes.
I can't wait to see the Lego set.
Uh,
Wow, that Taco Bell thing is beautiful. So that brings on worse news, huh?
it does.
This is really, I don't know the solution to this problem. I just know the problem. And unfortunately, mass shooting videos from 2019 are still on social platforms. You can still find them. This is from a New York Times story. There were three reporters, Ryan Mack, Helen Browning, and Shira Frankel. And unfortunately, the Christchurch massacre, which apparently inspired the Buffalo massacre, they're kind of a sobering reminder of the permanence of the internet. We say this all the time: what goes online stays online, and no matter what platforms do, they're still there. So it's not surprising when you consider, when the guy in Buffalo says that he was inspired, it's still online in multiple places. And after the Buffalo shooting was live streamed, Twitch said that it removed the stream within 2 minutes of the start of the violence, but 2 minutes wasn't enough. So by Sunday, links to the recording of the video had circulated on other social platforms. A clip from the original video, which had a watermark that suggested it had been recorded with a free screen recording software, was posted on a site called Streamable and viewed more than 3 million times before it was removed. And then a link to that video was stored hundreds of times across Facebook and Twitter hours after the shooting. And that's one of the things nobody can stop you from doing is saving the link. So for more than 3 years, this 1 minute, 30-second video of the Christchurch murders has been undisturbed on Facebook. It's still there. It's cropped to a square, and it's shown it's slowed down in parts. And 3/4 of the way through the video, text pops up urging the audience, share this. The clip has had 7,000 views and 22 comments, including some asking for it to be deleted. The clip on Facebook is one of dozens that are online, and in a search spanning just 24 hours this week, the New York Times identified more than 50 clips and online links with the Christchurch gunman 2019 footage, and they were on at least 9 platforms, including Reddit, Twitter, Telegram, 4chan, the video site Rumble, according to the Times, and 3 of the videos were uploaded to Facebook as far back as the day of the killings, according to Tech Transparency Project. And they're an industry watchdog, and others were posted as recently as this week. So to outwit some of the large platforms, which really rely on artificial intelligence to take down this kind of content, people added watermarks and filters to alter the clips of the Christchurch attack, or they changed the playback speed. And that makes it a new thing. So others started posting the web addresses of the videos instead of uploading the clips, and that avoids the algorithms and that match shooting videos to previously known versions. Other people uploaded the Christchurch videos to less popular platforms with fewer content moderation rules. So just change the opening, one user wrote, speed it up by 2 times, and then they fucking can't find it. So after the Buffalo attack last Saturday, several links to the Christchurch massacre showed up again. Guess where? On Twitter. Some users who commented on the Buffalo news asked where to find the videos of the New Zealand killings. And somebody said you can find it all over Twitter, adding a kissing face emoji. So the question of social networks' responsibility, obviously looms large. And now along comes Elon Musk, who wants to get rid of moderation altogether. So in my humble opinion, we need to put him on a SpaceX rocket and launch him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a complex problem. I think
Very
it
complex.
occurs to me that there's two things one, there are sites that three. There are clearly people that will spread it and want to spread it and find a way to spread this kind of stuff. They're sick people, but they'll do that. There are also platforms that don't mind this stuff spreading on them, and
Moderate. Yeah.
or they don't have the technology to identify it when it does spread. So either you don't care or you just don't have the technological infrastructure to tackle the problem. But Facebook and YouTube and other massive platforms, I mean, video technology is getting, machine vision is getting a lot better. So presumably there should be somebody should be, I guess YouTube is probably at the forefront of this, developing an algorithm that recognizes these types of events within video, so that they can take stuff down quickly. Now, Twitch said, I think it was like 40 people viewed it originally before it was taken down. That's not a
Really?
lot of people, but it was
No.
recorded and captured and spread elsewhere, right? So
You
that
can't
tells me,
stop the screenshots. That's the problem.
but that also tells me that Amazon probably has some sophisticated computer vision technology. What they should do, these big tech companies, is open source this particular algorithm to be available for all the platforms to use, and even to the public to use, to identify this content so that journalists can go and find it where it's not being moderated. You know what I mean?
Well, they did. The New York Times did. I mean, that was the thing, and it was very easy to do. So the question then becomes, if it was so easy for 3 journalists to do it, why is it that the platforms can't do it?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that easy for 3 journalists to do it. They're 3 journalists at the New York Times. They got a lot of resources, right? So it's just, I agree. I mean, the platform should be doing more. But what I'm saying is that if there's a public interest open source project for this particular problem, you probably
I
have
think
more.
that's a really good idea. I mean, just this week on Facebook and on that platform called Nextdoor, there is a real debacle going on that targets a friend of mine. And you know what? There doesn't seem to be a damn thing you can do to get it taken down. And there are people making threats, and there are people who are stalking her. And there doesn't seem to be a damn thing you can do to get that stuff taken off Facebook. And, I mean, whose responsibility is it? It seems like it's everybody's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what happens, unfortunately, what happens on social media is crazy people pile on and they feed each other.
Yeah. All right. So we haven't solved that problem.
No, but we're working on it.
Save that for next time.
You have another bad one? I do.
Yeah, I do. This one is my rant on top of your crypto piece earlier. This is from CNBC's Ryan Brown, who reports that investors have withdrawn more than $7 billion from Tether since it briefly dropped from its dollar peg. Now, in a previous episode, we talked about how some crypto coins called stable coins are allegedly pegged to the dollar, so they're supposed to be stable, where they're worth at least, they're always meant to be worth $1. This is one of them. So there are questions about the reserves that were underpinning Tether, which is the world's largest stable coin, quote unquote. Again, they're meant to be always worth $1. But on Thursday, the price slipped as low as 95 cents. Tether claimed all its tokens were backed 1-to-1 by the dollar stored in a bank. Okay, stored in a bank. However, after a settlement with the New York Attorney General, it was revealed that it relied on a range of other assets to support its token, commercial paper being one of them. When Tether last disclosed its reserve breakdown, cash made up around 4.2 billion of his assets. The vast majority, however, 34.5 billion, consisted of unverified treasury bills with a maturity of less than three months. 24.2 billion of its holdings was in commercial paper. These attestations, of their reserves produced by Tether each quarter are signed off by MHA Cayman. Cayman may sound familiar because it's a Cayman Islands-based firm which has only 3 employees. So stablecoin, not so stable, I don't think. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that if they grow unfettered by regulation, they could risk posing financial instability, and urge lawmakers to approve regulation for the sector by the end of 2022. Bank of France Governor Francois Villeroy de Galha said cryptocurrencies could disrupt the financial system if unregulated, particularly stablecoins, which he added were somewhat misnamed. So,
yeah. Well, unfortunately, what also happened is the Terra stablecoin collapsed bigly, and unfortunately, what happened is a lot of people made a lot of stupid moves. They thought they bought real estate. They did crazy things, thinking that they were millionaires, and they weren't. And people have lost their houses and their cars and all sorts of things. And apparently there have been suicides. There's a suicide prevention on a hotline on the Reddit community about Terra. And people didn't do their homework, and you should not put your money into something that you don't understand because other people are talking about it. So, yes, that's wholly irresponsible. That's terrible. That should be regulated, but people shouldn't act like fools either.
Well, I mean, again, not regulated. They were lying about what their assets were. So, it's a scam. It's a big scam.
It's a scam, of course it is. But
the other thing is,
if
so
you
Warren,
read about it and you educate yourself about it, then you know better.
Yeah, I don't know. Warren Buffett, his take on it is it does not produce any value. So I'm not going to invest. This is him talking. I'm not going to invest in crypto. If you give me land, I'll invest in land. Land can produce things. It can be improved upon and the value increases. You can farm on land. You can produce food from land. Companies produce value. But crypto is just, I got to find another person who will buy my thing that doesn't produce any value. And it's all speculation. So
it's not all speculation, but we could argue about this for the rest of the day. There are certainly speculative aspects of it, and then there are aspects of it that are not speculative. And I know you're a hater, and I know that you hate on it as much as possible.
What's not speculative about it?
What's not speculative
Yeah,
is that in certain cases, you got things with underlying value.
like
For
a
example,
JPEG.
no, that's an NFT. That has nothing to do with this
But you're
conversation.
buying it with
Would
crypto.
you let me finish? You got a lifetime ticket, for example, to Coachella. There are sites that are using crypto for membership. I have a membership in Serial Marketers because I have creator coins. There are hotels and restaurants and all sorts of companies that offer value to the holders of certain types of crypto. So I think, Dave, that you're not looking at the whole picture, and there is a huge amount of
Fraud.
negative info there. Yeah, there's fraud, but there's a huge amount of negative information that has overlooked the positive aspects of it, and I blame mainstream media for that, because they're still looking for the man bites dog story, and this is certainly an example of that. So we could fight about this forever, and I'm sure we will,
Yeah, we
but let me
probably
go
will.
on to Grubhub's free lunch, which proves that there's no such thing as a free lunch, quite a lot
Yeah.
in line with what you were saying. But Grubhub apparently vastly underestimated the number of New Yorkers who'd want a free lunch. And people who were hangry took to Twitter to complain about orders that arrived late or not at all. And it's from an Ad Age story, but it was all over. On Tuesday, Grubhub offered New Yorkers a free lunch, excluding tips and fees, up to the value of $15. And they said you could have it between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And it was shared on social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok. And it should have been a boon for all the city's restaurants, customers, and the couriers. But what happened was there was such a huge surge in orders that delayed or absent deliveries overwhelmed the workers who were in short supply. And at peak lunchtime, Grubhub was averaging 6,000 orders a minute, according to a spokesperson named David Tovar. And by 11:25 a.m., there were more than 100 reports of issues with its app, according to Down Detector. So overwhelming demand on Grubhub's website crashed the site and had a lot of glitches. And a person named Comics by Choice put it on Twitter. Hey, I've been waiting for 6 hours for my food. Please refund me and everyone else. This is a fucking disaster. Grubhub, however, and this is totally why it's in worse, calls the event a resounding success. Tovar said restaurants were given advance notice of the expected increase in order volume and acknowledged that their projections were still far lower than they thought, but it wasn't without its challenges, he said, adding that most orders were placed on Grubhub's platform more orders were placed on Grubhub's platform in New York City than at any other time in its history. Unfortunately, the orders didn't get delivered, but despite the operational snafu, he called it, Grubhub says they acquired new diners and reactivated existing customers and who had been ordering less frequently. And it's a huge win. Today, we're the talk of the town. So the free lunch snafu is just one of their largest in one of their largest markets. It's just their latest setback because they've had to fend off competition from DoorDash and Uber Technologies. And in March, a partnership with the now defunct rapid delivery startup Boik, I think it was called, fell through because Boik's inability to secure funding, and that would have given Grubhub a stake in a competitive quick commerce space and more access to the grocery category. So they're in a mess now, and calling that a success is kind of funny.
Well, I don't know. It's probably a success for Grubhub because they got new customers for their customer list. They got blah blah
But they
blah.
lost
But
customers.
I think it was the weren't a lot of the restaurants that use Grubhub on the hook for all of that. What reputational damage to the restaurants
Of
that can't
course.
fulfill all those people demanding refunds from the restaurant because Grubhub can't get their shit together.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't even use those anymore. It's like
I don't either.
the
I go direct
cost,
to the
the
restaurant.
cost, the cost of having it delivered is sometimes more than the meal itself too, for
Not in New
one.
York.
And then two is, yeah, I want to give my money directly to the restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So here's it's not nearly as bad as this, but there's a company called ShipGo that has been running some commercials, brand awareness commercials in heavy rotation where I live. Are you familiar with this company at all?
No,
Okay, so
no.
they're running they ship your luggage to your destination when you travel, right? So you use them to, instead of going through the airport and bring your luggage with you on the plane, you have them ship it and it arrives at your destination and you don't have to deal with carrying your luggage around. That's their whole selling point, right? So they're running this brand awareness campaign on TV, and it starts out, the first scene features a family of five schlepping luggage from the parking lot to the terminal, and Patricia, the ShipGo spokeswoman, meets them at the curb and says, if you use ShipGo, this whole thing wouldn't be a thing. And then it cuts to a couple struggling with with luggage at their check-in counter, and there's Patricia watching them. Oh, you brought your luggage to the airport. That's adorable, says Patricia. Cut to another family, bored while waiting at baggage claim. Two children are sprawled out on the floor sleeping, and Patricia, of course, is there saying, with ShipGo, shipping your luggage before you fly, you'll never have to wait around here again, like ever. That can't be comfortable, though, she says, pointing to the kids on the floor. And I'm just like, I wouldn't have chosen ridiculing your potential new customers as the best strategy for building your brand awareness campaign. Just me.
That's really funny, though. But why should you trust them? Like, who are they and what track record do they have and who funds them?
Particularly when you're building brand awareness. I mean, having somebody mock you is not kind of the way to build
Not
trust.
at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Are you done with worst?
I am.
All right, I got one more, but this should probably be in politics. We'll put it in politics just so that we can even out on the worst stuff. But David Gergen, senior political analyst at CNN, he's former advisor to four presidents, President Bill Clinton among them. On May 10, tweeted a teaser tweet. For his upcoming appearance on CNN. It said, baby boomers have been running the country for nearly 3 decades. Some successes, a number of disappointments. It's time to pass the baton to younger generations. Millennials, Gen Z. Please join us for a conversation tonight on CNN with Anderson Cooper about my new book on the subject. So anything strike you about that tweet, BL?
That he's selling his book?
Nope. Yeah, well, you're a boomer, so you wouldn't have noticed that. They passed over Generation X. He just completely ignored Generation X, which is so Gen X. It's such perfect. Anyway, a bunch of people responded to this tweet. Rachel Vindman, the wife of Alex Vindman, said, what do you suggest Gen X does with the remainder of their lives? Asking for many friends. Gen X, wonderfully named handle on Twitter, JENNX, said, I propose Gen X Island, where we can live out the rest of our days with our forgotten peers, watching movies on the VCR, snacking on Jiffy Pop and Tang, Saturday morning cartoons, tearing up our mouths with Captain Crunch, riding bikes with no helmets, listening to records. Jody V tweeted a picture of the cast of the Breakfast Club saying, just remember, for every boomer that hates a millennial, there's a generation between that hates you both. Sophie Scholl's Ghost said, as usual, Gen X is forgotten. It used to be that just our parents forgot about us, but now everyone forgets about us. We just continue to keep our heads down and do the work to save America and democracy. It would be nice if millennials and Gen Z helped us out. Cooper said, I'm not Gen X, but like, you do know Gen Xers are the people currently raising kids and taking care of elderly parents right now. Did you forget they exist again? Weird AF. His tweets, Gergen's tweets, typically average between 1 to 5 to 10 replies per tweet. This one got 7,000.
So that brings us to smiles, although that was pretty smiley.
Yeah, it was.
So Dave, do you happen to have a wire hanger in your house?
Yeah.
Well, this is about wire hangers. I don't have one. Okay. The hanger reflex is making the rounds on the internet, and apparently when you open up a wire hanger, and put it on your head, you automatically turn your head away from the hanger hook in an involuntary motion. So it may turn out to be good for more than entertainment, though, because researchers say they can develop simple tools to help patients with dystonia, which is a movement disorder that causes abnormal muscle contractions. But there are hilarious videos of people who don't believe it. They put the hanger on their head and they turn their neck. And then they all go, oh, I can't believe it made me do that. And I looked all over my house. I don't have a single wire hanger anymore. But yeah, if you have one, by all means, put it on your head right
I
now.
guess I'm gonna have to try that.
Oh, you do it now.
I I'll do it instead of investing in crypto. How's that?
I have another one.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, this is really funny. Apple's co-founder Steve Wozniak was a big pranker, and he once prank called the Vatican asking to speak to the Pope. So he isn't just known for being a tech innovator; he's also like widely known for playing pranks on people at the launch of Apple products. And like one time, he ordered 4,000 cups of coffee from Starbucks during the launch of iPhone, and then he called them back and said, "Just kidding." But in the early 70s, young Steve Wozniak, the future co-founder of Apple, he was doing some casual freaking, PHREAKING, in his college dorm room. So that is a combination of the word phone and freaking. And it was a method with which tech savvy ne'er-do-wells could hack into early telecommunication systems using this gadget called the blue box. And Wozniak and his friends eventually sold those for $150. But anyway, they can make free phone calls anywhere in the world. I vaguely remember that this happened, but to test it with his buddies, he placed a call to the Vatican. He asked to speak to the Pope, and putting on his best impersonation of Henry Kissinger, who was then President Nixon's Secretary of State. He nearly got to the Pope until a high-ranking bishop caught him in the lie, and the jig was up.
It's been a pretty good impression.
When I was a kid, you would call people and say, "Is your refrigerator
Right.
running?" You better go get it.
Uh-huh.
What was the other one? There was another one. Is your refrigerator running? And there was another. I can't remember.
Prince Albert in a can.
Yeah, right. Let him out.
All right, so on to shiny new stuff, and I don't have. You got the field here. I saw that you had plenty of them, so I didn't feel compelled to add any. So go ahead.
Okay, well, one of them, I don't know if this is where it belongs, but Muck Rack just published the 2022 State of Journalism on Twitter report, which is very interesting, like how journalists are using Twitter now.
Okay.
And that's really worth a read. And then there's an app called Follow, FOLLER.me, Follow Me. And if a Twitter profile is public, it'll let you scan it for insights.
Yeah.
This is really cool. If you want to see what the main competitors' followers are or what topics their audience is talking about, you can do it on here, and it reveals details that aren't shown on Twitter profiles, like join date and follower ratio. So that's definitely worth a look. And then WordPress announced this week that they have a new design for subscriber email, new templates, and updating and modernizing out-of-the-box email templates that come with WordPress websites. So that's pretty cool to look at too.
Interesting. So I presume the email templates is for like the auto respond thing that WordPress has out of the box when
For
you
for newsletters, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's wrap
And
this
also
up.
for the forms.
Okay, got it. Edison Research has their Infinite Dial of 2022 report out, which is their audio. They have been tracking audio consumption for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, a
Yeah.
long time. So they've got a lot of great data that they can compare to in the past for trends and stuff. So they're out with their latest one, and it's fantastic as usual. Some of the highlights from it: 177 million people have ever listened to a podcast. 38% listened to a podcast in the last month. 26% listened to a podcast in the last week. 50% of those aged 12 to 34 are monthly podcast listeners. And weekly US podcast listeners average 8 podcast episodes in the last week. They do a webinar every year to go over the results of the report, and that is we'll include that video, embed that video in the show notes for people to watch it as well. It's about an hour long, but it's well worth it. I devour this report whenever it comes out.
Their research is always so great.
Yep.
So that brings us to the end of episode 378 of the Beyond Social Media Show. You want to find us, you just search Beyond Social Media Show. Links to everything we talked about today will be at beyondsocialmediashow.com/378. We'd love for you to leave us a review and subscribe to our newsletter while you're there. I am here with David Erickson. He and I have been doing this since 2012.
2012.
And David is on Twitter as D Erickson. He's on Instagram as DE Erickson. YouTube, he's eStrategy, and he blogs at e-strategyblog.com, which you should definitely put on your reading list. I'm BL Achman. I'm What's Next on Twitter. My blog is What's Next Blog, my often neglected blog. My YouTube channel is What's Next Blog. My website is blachman.com. And the show again is beyondsocialmediashow.com. And on Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. And you can listen to the podcast. You can watch it on our YouTube channel, or you can listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or you just tell your smart speaker, play Beyond Social Media Show, and it'll do it.
Thanks for watching.